Welcome to the Circle of M. I am your host, Marcus Smith II. Man, we have another edition, another episode. I have a good friend with me today, another NFL guy. We all NFL guys. I've been talking to a lot of NFL guys lately, just in general, man, just to get their different perspective on mental health and life, man. I have my good friend with me today, Kyle Prater, man. How are you doing today, bro?
Man, what's good, bro? I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm great, bro. I'm in a great headspace right now. I'm feeling good. How are you?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I know we were talking a little bit before. We'll just kind of get into it, and a lot of times we don't really know how to say if we aren't doing good. Like, nah,
Right.
I ain't having a good day today.
Right.
And I think it's important for us to be able to tell the viewers, like, if you're not feeling okay, if there's something wrong and you're not feeling it, man, express that, say that. So, man, I really appreciate you coming on, man, to have this dope dialogue, intellect, and everything we talk about. But the first thing that we do on the show is really just do a tap in, like, with you, man, like what you've been up to, how's everything going, and like what's your day to day been like?
Man, so, for me right now, what I've been doing, my day to day has been, recently finishing up a wide receiver master course that I created to basically scale, my training business. It's something that I've been working on for the past year and a half now. Basically just trying to scale the business because a lot of times, I only get, compensated, for my time when I'm actually physically there. And then also when I can't reach every kid, I can't travel all over the world to train in these different areas in Chicago. So I wanted to make something of a master class that everybody can be able to obtain and reach it on our website. I'm creating this 3-tier this master class for receivers, bro. And on top of filming other projects, just recently was in Alabama and Selma, did a project for the Big Ten, actually recreated the walk, and we was at the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I don't know if you remember that bridge in 1965 that
Yep.
Martin Luther King and so many other people walked on to basically fight for our rights to vote and so many other things. But man, I've been in so many different areas, bro, like working on NFTs in different spaces and communities, building community, working on that. So, man, it's a lot of stuff, bro. I'm just blessed to be able to do it and have a bandwidth, but you know how it is.
Man, I do. And the fact that you are doing so many great things is, commendable to you, because a lot of times, like, when a lot of guys kind of like step out of, like, take the helmet off, we don't really know what our identity is, right? But at the same time, like, there was a period, there was a process in getting to where you are today. I want to really just talk a little bit about your career, and because I know you played for USC, right? And then there was a time where you went undrafted to the Saints, correct?
Yeah.
And for us, it's like that's a dream. Like, we want to go play in the league. We want to do those things. What was your experience like in your process of getting to the NFL, and what mental barriers did you have to cross in that process of playing a sport that you love?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. I think, like you said, I went undrafted, so that uphill battle, what that takes to get to making a 53-man. And it's always that you always in performance mode, and like I said, versus a guy who's drafted, he's able to walk in that facility a little bit more at ease if he's to make a mistake versus if I make a mistake. So I'm always on eggshells. So I think it's like a universal language when it comes down to talking about making a team and being undrafted, like the mental pressures that you go through and the mental barriers, right? Because I think for me, like, coming out of high school, like you said, I went to USC, #1 player in the nation, and at my position, and highly touted and all these accolades, and humbly so. But I was supposed to be drafted coming out of college after my first 3 years. Pete Carroll recruited me, then he left and went to Seattle. So I had this roller coaster of a career, bro. Like, literally just 5 surgeries throughout my career. He's a bust. He's this. It was just so much narrative being painted for myself that, like, when I did make it to the league throughout all that, when I transferred to Northwestern, again, I was still fighting. So I look at like throughout all that, it was a story being built and I was being chiseled. I was being like the opposition, that being stretched, that like not knowing I was being stretched for this moment to be where I'm at today. Because when you in it, you ain't really thinking about that. You're like, damn, man, why am I going through this? Like, why me? You ask like, why am I going through this? Like, why me? But again, I think we all have our lives and our experiences, and there's things that we know that it was areas where we could have been a little bit better at that caused a lot of that stuff as you get older and mature. But like I look at now, like the mental toughness that I have, that I've gained through all that has been like immense, and it's continuously growing. But again, it's like for me, as I grow, I want to tell these stories like me and you were talking about so other people can hear like, damn, bro, I'm going through that same thing right now, So to transition to now where I'm at, like you mentioned, the identity, finding that second identity and being okay with the second act of life wasn't as easy as people may see it as now, because it was something I had to work through, had to work for. I had to really become confident in this new space to even like say like I'm a filmmaker, director, creative entrepreneur. Like at first, how athletes, they lead in with like, almost, former NFL, I played for this, they lead. Like I rarely lead with that. I always try to come in as who I am, because I think, I take pride in like the work that I put in to get here, because again, like I said, this was really stretched, and it was, like I said, when we first got on, man, like it's an everyday battle, so yeah, man, it's been a ride, but I'm blessed to be where I'm at, because again, like I said, I found my niche, I found my lane, I carved out a space for myself. I'm just trying to keep building and growing.
Man, what you said that was a lot, because I think for me it was more so like I definitely was trying to find my self-worth too, and it was like it definitely wasn't easy at first, because like when we take the helmet off or when we figure out like, all right, we gonna leave that, like we gonna do something else. Right. Going to that something else, we still have that like athletic mindset, like, okay, I kind of still have room to play, but it's almost like God is calling you to do something else, and you don't necessarily want to put all your eggs in that basket at first, but that that's what you are called to do. It's just going to be a journey and getting there. Like, man, right. Talk about that first time, like when you knew like it was time for you to walk away, right? Like, talk about that experience. Like, once you figured it out, like, you know what? I'm going to focus on this and there's no more ball left. What was that like?
Man, it's so funny. I think I got like two moments. And one of the moments was when I was actually playing at New Orleans in camp when the injury happened that kind of ended everything, the concussion. But like, I'm going to tell that one, then the other one, like that injury leading up into that, like we in dog days of camp. And you know how that is. And like, again, I'm trying to make the 53 man. But again, I love football though, right? Like we love football. But like I was torn between loving football and then like being undrafted, and I'm body hurting in camp, all these ailments from like past injuries. And I just remember like that love was not, I feel like I was just there, bro, like floating through camp, like not having that, like, yeah, I'm putting in the work. Yeah, I'm doing the extra stuff, but it wasn't like, I feel like I've been through so much uphill battle and adversity at that point where like I had checked out. Like, and that's when the injury came. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember going out for a catch in camp, and it was a seam route. And I caught the ball, but the guy's momentum of him trying to pull it out brought all that force down to the ground. I landed on my head, don't remember anything. That was my last time I was ever, like, on the field and in preseason. And I was like, damn, just thinking about how, like, this is my last play. And then leading up until when I became a free agent after getting released, I was on IR for till like week 4 after that injury. Once I got released, I remember going through that cycle of being a free agent. You flying the team. I went to the Jets, Colts, Patriots, and I went to the Patriots and I had a meeting, after the workout, and a great workout. And then the scout I was meeting with was asking me about like, what am I doing at home while I'm like waiting for the next opportunity? Like, what you doing? And I was in the process of doing what I'm doing today. Like not all the way in. I had bought a camera for $1,500 from Sam's Club, but I was like, I just wanted my videos to look, crispy as I'm training. I like being different. And I got too invested in that conversation talking about that. Like I got talking about building my business. I was substitute teaching. I was like telling them everything, but I was so like invested in talking about my film and the storytelling. And in that moment, I saw his reaction. Like I felt his energy shift. Like, man, boy, we want you to say you eat, sleep, and football. Excuse my language, but like I felt him like, bro, we trying to win a Super Bowl. Like we trying to make money, and like and right then in that moment, I was like, I bet, man, like this is why I need to let it go because I was so invested in talking about my second act. While I was still like hanging on to my first act with a Patriot scout right in front of me. And he didn't care about that conversation. And so now like 7 years later, like to have won 9 awards and be in these spaces, like I worked my ass off, bro. And those little moments like that, like fueled me because like that power that somebody can have over you and all they want you is to like play ball and like be a body and be someone just on a team and just be a number. So like, yeah, man.
That's what would get to me though, because I knew at a certain point, like, okay, I did get drafted. I went first round, but I still dealt with a lot of mental health, anxiety, depression, like throughout the whole time, walked away, suicide, all that, right? And it was hard for me to fathom like, okay, I'm just a body. I know I'm just a body today. Like they are not, it don't matter how good I do. It doesn't matter. Like they already got who they want. And as a man, it's kind of like belittling and it's hard to take that because it's like you're asking for an opportunity, but there's a chance that you may not get that opportunity. And that was my whole thing. Like my 6th year, and I said this to people, it's like, that was the best camp I had. I had the highest grade in camp, right, that I ever had, which was like a 91, 92 or something. Had forced fumbles, tackles, and I got cut still. So so I'm like,
yeah, that's very defeating, bro. That can really do a lot to your mental. Like they don't talk about that, bro. Like that's
not at all.
I think Hard Knocks does a great job of showing some of that what we go through as free agents, but like the mental health component doesn't really get touched on a lot. Like that, as a grown ass man, like you had a great camp. Like I got released my first year, and then they brought me back the second year. But like you said in preseason, bro, like my first catch that I got, went to me almost went for 6. And then the next week, I had a good game, and I'm doing a press conference on Monday. I'm thinking it's sweet. They talking about the game and, my narrative and everything. And I go into the locker room and the Reaper walking around. and, and the Reaper walking around. I'm like, damn, bro.
Like, so you got to tell the people, everybody don't know, who is the Reaper?
Damn, man. The Reaper is that man, who walks around and he about to collect your playbook. He about to tell you, all right, man, coach want to see you upstairs. And like, you already know what it is. And you're just like, damn. And that's really like, for your confidence, like after having a good game, like you said, having a grade at 91 in camp, man, that could really make you self-doubt yourself, man. Like, am I good? Like, damn, that wasn't good enough?
I did that for like, it took me 2 years. I'm not gonna lie. It took me 2 years to kind of like get out of that funk because it made me feel like I was not worthy. I wasn't good enough to play in the league. It just made me feel like I had failed. But then when I look back and when I really started coming into myself again, I'm like, bro, like I did what a lot of people couldn't do. And like most people want to do what we did regardless of how many years you play. Some people can't even step into that arena and even get an opportunity. So that's kind of what I carry with me now. And you right, bro. Like I used to always start everything 6-year NFL veteran, blah, blah, blah. I don't even say that no more because I want people to know me as Marcus Smith, the human, the activists,
We play, bro.
right.
I mean, look, bro, we're not your average person. Like, we walk in the room like we have our stature.
Bro,
Like,
I didn't realize you was 6'5", bro.
yeah, I'm 6'5" as hell. Like, real, so either think I play basketball or football or something. So, like,
Right.
and then we walk in, it's just the aura and the energy. And I just see, and it's funny, I see energy shifts, man. Like, I'm not an ego guy. Like, I move in an egoless position. That's what I've learned since letting the game go. I had to let the ego go. That's the only way you can ever have success after being in such a space like that is so highly predicated on who's who and like what you do. So like, now it's like, man, look, I like to be very inclusive of other people in conversation when they want to talk about football and NFL, and it's like, all right, man, look, I don't lead with that, but let's talk about like, let's talk about some film. Let's talk about what this person is doing, because it's so easy to just talk about ball. And that's what everybody be looking at. But again, like, we breaking these conversations that we having, are breaking barriers down and breaking that stigma. And so again, like I said, commend you, bro. You doing it. Like, you continue to do it. Like, I remember we was on that Twitter Spaces together, the mental health the month. Yeah.
We gotta do that again. We gotta get Leslie to get us on that again.
Yeah. So we gotta talk to Leslie and NFLPA about having that be something of not just, we always, like, Black History Month, we focus on Black people. Mental Health Month, we focus on mental health. It's always like, this needs to be a reoccurring thing, monthly, weekly, something that's going on, because again, the mental health component is huge, man. And like, again, like, these athletes are hurting and suffering in silence. And these conversations need to be had on a huger scale.
Hey, and so another question that I have is, because a lot of us, we know that there are some traumatic things happen to us, like when we were younger, whether it's with the sport, family, whatever it may be. And we understand that a lot of those things travel with us, as we become adults, because we never really address those things. Did you have anything happen to you, anything mental health related, traumatic, that happened to you when you was younger that kind of like was brought over into, the NFL, and kind of like you walking away from it, or not you walking away from the game, but you stepping out of the game, because for me, it was like, I had some things that happened to me as far as traumatic. My father was more so, they would say he was verbally abusive, right? So in return, when I would be playing, when it was college or whatever it may be, I would be looking for approval, like for someone to be like, yo, did I do good? You know what I'm saying? Because I always heard like, nah, bro, you got to do this. You got to do better. You got to do better. It wasn't never like building me up to the point where like, oh man, you doing great. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the way he created the dog in me, but I didn't know how to cipher between those emotions of me actually doing good. You know what I mean? So what about you?
You was always based on like your father's input. You was always in performance mode. Like, you always had to do better than what you was doing. It never was enough.
Right. So that's what I felt like. Yeah.
It was enough.
Yep.
Yeah. You know what I mean, bro? And I'm glad we're talking, because my family, my parents, I was blessed, bro. Like, my parents, really kept me level-headed. But again, when you go out on your own, you telling the kid 17, 18 that's going to LA from Chicago to, I had to experience that, but they kept me grounded. But the one thing is that my dad, they never put pressure on me and to make me feel like, like I wasn't doing enough. They built me mentally strong enough to know that, like, how to be confident. My mother always said, boy, you don't need nothing, all that extra stuff that like everybody else. Just put you on the white tee. Just be confident in what you're wearing. And so I kept that mentality throughout my whole life up until today. And again, it's an ongoing battle, because the world will make you feel like you ain't enough. You gotta have this, you gotta do that, you gotta be that. But I think, again, bro, like with the sport, my parents was always like chill. My father, has amazing work ethic. I got my work ethic from him. He drive trucks still to this day. He would wake up in the morning and give me and my little sister a kiss on the head and just go to work early. You know what I'm saying? And just that. Just that work ethic, that work mindset. and I got the same thing today. But again, man, like in terms of what you experienced, I think you were seeking that validation. That's what your father had. Like, that was the way he raised you. So now you go out into the world. That's what you like subconsciously. You seeking that from other people. You seeking it from coaches. Am I good enough? Even your relationships. You know what I'm saying? It's like you always seeking like, oh, you need that affirmation when all you need is that from yourself. And it takes work, and like you said, I think having the game being taken away, and I wouldn't even say it's taken away, like letting the game go. Now you realize you got to find your value within yourself. No one, no coach, no GM, nobody. Now it's all on you. So I think that's what you've experienced, and I feel like you now have come to a place where like that validation that you were seeking from your pops, you know, you don't need that. You got it. You've experienced it, and you learned from that trauma. And again, like I commend you too, bro. But I know that's tough.
Man, yeah, it definitely is. We had conversations too, so that's another thing that in that situation is good, because you can't help how somebody else was raised because they only doing what they know how to do. And I know my dad, he was coming from a good place. You know what I'm saying? But that's how we have to break the cycles. I also wanted to ask, like, where you are now and what you're doing in your day to day. Are there any coping mechanisms that you use, whether it's like therapy, whether it's like meditation, whether it's just something that brings you life each and every day that can help someone else who is maybe listening to this, like who can maybe try something out when they're, having a rough day or they're dealing with some type of mental health issue?
Well, I think we got to learn to talk to ourselves way better than what we do. And I think our minds is very, sensitive. We got gentle mentals. I know Kanye said that in the song, one of his songs. Like, I think artists and creatives and athletes, we got real gentle mentals, and like our mind subconsciously will believe what you tell it. So if you're in the mirror, if you're telling yourself like, man, I suck, like it's very small and minute, like you saying I suck, but like it hears that. Right. And if you keep pouring that into yourself, like, man, I'm trash, I'm never going to be this, you're eventually not going to be that. So I think the way we speak to ourselves, like we got to be real strong and confident in the words we put out and the affirmations. So I would tell anybody just to like, say I'm great. My company is called Chasing Greatness for a reason, because again, like we all chasing something, and I think I was torn between calling it Greatness Productions, but then I was like, then I feel like I've made it. So by chasing something, we always got something to strive for. So like, again, the way we talk to ourselves, bro, directly reflects what comes out. Like what you put out into the world is directly what, like comes out of your mouth verbally, where you write it down. Like, again, if you're feeling a way, write things down, start seeing yourself the way other people see you, especially the way you see yourself in the mirror.
You talking right to me, man. Like, I needed to hear that. I ain't gonna lie to you, man, because it's important how you talk to yourself, and positive self-talk. That is something that if you come from a background where everything is negative around you, then naturally you just gonna say negative things or put out negative energy and not even realize like you even doing it, so like,
yeah, it's true. It come out, bro. Man, I tell you, bro, like literally it's been work, bro, just to get to where I'm at. And like, again, I'm not perfect, but I know to get to where I'm at, I had to put the work in. I say it like this: the pandemic really allowed for me to like really sit in some things that I was going through, sit in my past, sit in the reason why I was going through, whether it was relationships, friends, business. I had a chance to really look at it. Pandemic, all right, I'm in the mirror, here it go. We couldn't run from it. Everybody individually, I feel like, whether you was in a relationship, you was with your family, if you was solo, isolated, wherever it was in the pandemic, you had to deal with yourself. You couldn't run. And I think that the world pausing like that, it just gave me like an expedited, almost like Dragon Ball Z in a time chamber, hyperbolic, you know what I'm saying? I always reference it to Dragon Ball Z, like sitting in that hyperbolic and coming out like in that year's time and just like better. But now I know, like, again, I'm not there all the way yet, but I know what I need to focus on to get me to where I need to go.
Yeah, it was like God, like, set us down. Like, look, Like it was go, 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 go. Set us down. Really had forced us to look at ourselves in the mirror. Like, all right, what you gonna do? And
Right.
I was in that. I was in that place too. Honestly, like that's why I'm glad. We talking because we can be candid with everything and be vulnerable. But I want to talk about, because you talked a little bit about your business and what you're doing now, man. Do you want to expound on some of the things as far as like your filmmaking and what you're currently working on?
Yeah, man. So aside from the wide receiver course, the masterclass we finishing up, and it's about to be available soon, like within the next week. I'm working on an NFT, a storytelling collection that's going to speak to like each athlete that has been through somewhat of what we've gone through, right? And whether it's men and women, all different facets, different phases of life, that's going to be something that's going to be like definitely different than what anybody has ever seen in terms of the Web3 space. And I don't want to give too much alpha on it, because like, you know how like when when it's not ready yet, you want to put it too much out in the universe, but I know it's going to be very impactful. But we just did it. No, listen, man. Like, if I can give any type of information about Web3, and it's real big on community. And right now with the market, and right now we in inflation. There's so much going on in the marketplace right now. It's like up and down, but now it's fizzling itself out. I want to create something that's going to have hope and a give back element to it, especially for people that look like myself and us, especially athletes. So I got a documentary coming out that's going through this whole process. So we've been shooting it for the past year. And man, it's me coming out as an artist, like everything that was suppressed as an athlete. That, like I said, when I met with that scout from the Patriots, like that, I'm taking the training wheels off KP, so people can see everything. I make music, I produce, I write. And again, like everything is being filmed. It's very inspiring, bro. So I'm excited. And you got to come to the screening for that. I'll make sure you straight on that. But
Hey,
it's going to be impactful, bro.
bro, I'm excited for you because you're showing all of that. And I think one of the biggest things that I want people to understand too is that even like young athletes, like who work their whole lives to get to the NFL, get to that point, and helping them understand, like, all right, we've been there. Like, look at you, KP. Like, this is what I'm doing now. I found my purpose. Like, everybody knows that the gift is football, right? You have to use that in some form to get you where you going, or use like the triumph through that to get you where you're going. So, bro, I appreciate you speaking on that. Now, when you said, I think you mentioned earlier, you had not like 9 awards.
Yeah, man. I've amassed to get 9 awards, bro, from a couple of our films. Shifting Gears is my first film. Shifting Gears 2, and Juneteenth. I film in Juneteenth, where around the pandemic. It was a great film. Did a project with Nike called Chasing Your Dreams. It was a short film with Spice Adams and KD. And what else?
Bro.
Samples of Life. You got to check it. I got to see these links, man. These films are really good. But yeah, bro, I've been able to win 9 awards.
What's that feeling like?
I edit everything. I edit everything too.
So you do it all, like, so what's that feeling like? Because getting accolades in something other than a sport that you was pretty much playing your whole life, right? Like, what's that feeling like? Because I know that's like, because you were just talking about like the hard work you put in. Like,
I'm prideful of it, like, no lie, because when I saw Kobe win an award for Dear Basketball, rest in peace, I saw the little child in him. And I talk about this a lot when I do my coffee talks and just period in general. As we get older, as we get grown, bro, we lose that little burning inner child, that little kid. And I feel like we lose that because of life pressures, bills, work, just the life. Life is so much that like you lose that little innocent, curious child. And I've been blessed to like maintain him. And again, like I said, it's work, because he'll want to go back into the tank. But I always make room for that. You know what I'm saying? I always make room for my child to come out. And again, I saw Kobe accepting that award, and he was so excited, bro. And I was like, this man got 7 rings.
yeah.
Like he got 7 or 6. I'm sorry,
No, he got 5 rings, but
5. My bad. He would have had more if he kept playing. But like, bro, he was so excited, and like I saw that, and like that video really just let me know that, bro. Like the second active life, if I do it, it's gonna have to look like that.
right.
And Kobe, he was a great example, man. He lived a great life, bro, and rest his soul. But like, I was really inspired by his second active life, and he really inspired me to do what I'm doing today.
Bro, I commend you and I applaud you, bro. That's what's up, man. And I know we don't do that as brothers, just giving guys, they flowers because, not a lot of people are doing that, man. And you're gonna continue to go forward and do that. And honestly, Kobe got me through a lot. Kobe's muse, to be exact. I used to watch that all the time when I was having my struggles in Philly. Trying to live up to the fans, trying to live up to the expectations. And I used to watch that all the time just to give me some confidence and some motivation. You know what I mean? So I know exactly how you feel. When you talked about, like, young people and, like, bringing out your inner child, what would you tell your younger self knowing what you know now?
Man, what I would tell my younger self, man, I got distracted, early on, and I think, it's just, again, like it was a lot of women were involved in the distractions. And I think I tell my younger self to stay focused because at the end of the day, and this goes for the kids today, like you'll never lose if this is what you want, you'll never lose women if you chasing your dreams and stay focused. But you'll lose women if you get distracted and focus on them because, again, they ain't gonna mess with nobody. They ain't doing nothing. So, and that's just something very small. But again, like stay focused. You know what I'm saying? Stay focused. Find a goal. Write everything down. And like, just be yourself. And I think I'll just continue to be yourself. And I always say be a professionalized version of yourself. Like I never change when I walk in the room, no matter who it is, and these corporate offices or whether I'm having creative meetings with different brands and Nike, like they need us. They need our IP. We are the coach. I know how to tell that. I know how to speak the athlete language. And that's another thing is like, we ain't got to change, bro. Just be yourself and be respectful of the rooms that you in. But again, like it's being confident in yourself, bro. That's so huge. Like just have to just be yourself within it all.
And I think mentally, it was like being in the league too. Some organizations, not all, some organizations, man, you got to put on this face like you know what I'm saying? I used to hate that. Like bro, why can't I just be? Say it again.
No, I know that face, bro, because it's like, again, it's the face that you have to put on versus like, an example, Odell Beckham. He can just be himself. Like, even though I'm like, damn, man, I'm a unicorn walking around here, but I'm walking around with my tail tucked underneath because I got a couple injuries and I don't have this much money invested in me. And, I dealt with that at USC, bro, just when I got hurt, all the injuries, and like people don't understand this message with your mental too. The locker room, your teammates subconsciously, like they ain't messing with you, and it ain't their fault because you hurt. It's just the energy, everybody in that groove of playing. And like you watching on the sideline and the coaches ain't talking to you. You like, damn, you walking in the hallway, coaches ain't even giving you eye contact. It's like, bro, like all that messes with this.
Some coaches feel like, they hold the cards of your career in their hands and they feel like they can talk to you any type of way. And as a you growing up, your father, your mother, like they teach you to earn respect, right? And not to tolerate disrespect. So when you get to the place of like where your like football is, you at the top of the top, and then you get there and then you're getting disrespected each and every day and you can't do anything about it because you don't want to lose your job. That plays on a lot of people's mental too. Like when I was in Colorado, like that was one of the things that a lot of guys brought up. Like they couldn't say anything and they take them same emotions, bro, and they suppress them and they naturally, if their wife, when they come home from practice, ask some questions, I don't want to talk about it. And then it starts to translate into their relationship. Okay, we need to talk about this. Like, man, I don't want to talk, because it's teaching them, like, I don't have a say.
Right.
So, yeah, man.
It becomes a pattern.
Yep.
And, you know, you come home, you suppress it, you got a wife or girlfriend, and you regurgitate that energy onto her. And it has nothing to do with her, everything to do with you. But it's not that it's supposed to be everything to do with you. It's everything to do with the system and the coaches and everything, and that how everything plays out. So again, I love playing football, but like I don't miss that. I don't miss having to like these, you know, be in the hallway and trying to like put it on a face and have to watch what I say, and, you know, kiss up to a coach, you know, do all these things, and like go talk to the special teams coach, you know, get in good. Like,
yeah, I ain't going upstairs, man. Fuck that. I ain't finna kiss nobody, but
no, bro. So like it's so much. But again, like I said, these conversations that we having, bro, again, they will open up a lot of people's minds, especially the athletes that are like us, because they need to hear it. Guys that are playing right now are going through it. I even hate the guys that's struggling right now with trying to figure it out, that play longer than us. Imagine them. Like, that's so hard, you know. And I see it. Like I worked with a few guys, you know.
Oh man, I see it too, because I've had people ask me what it's like on the other side, for real, who are playing right now, who, you know, kind of on the cusp of like, I don't know if I want to keep playing or not, because their whole shield has been the NFL, man. So I know exactly what you said.
Yeah, and these conversations gonna help, bro. And like, again, like if I could tell them anything now, it's like, you should start while you in it. You should start like pre-career before it gets going. And I think that was another thing that like, my career wasn't long, but I didn't waste no time figuring that out. Like I knew I had something different. And these guys that's playing for long, you know, again, NFL stands for not for long. So you got to start figuring out what your plan is in terms of like, you know, after the game, because everybody can go into, you know, those broadcasting roles, which I'm not mad at, right? Or a coaching job, which I'm not mad at. Again, that's what you know. But like in terms of like, you still connected, that identity is still within that. Like I coach now, and I got my training service, but again, I just started back coaching at a high school this year, and I was iffy about it because I knew how much emotionally invested I'm about to become. Especially watching guys that's not going to give it the same energy I know I would. You know, so that's when you see the coaches that be wanting it more than the players, right? You know, that's that energy. And I'm like, I can't be there, bro. And that's one of the things, like, it's that. So, you know, it's a lot.
Man, dog, I appreciate you coming on to the show and just, you know, speaking your truth, speaking your mind, allowing people to actually hear, you know, what you have to say and what you have to offer to them. I just feel like, you know, in these moments, even guys who, like you said, are still playing, they're going to be able to see this. And, you know, what I would say, you know, from my own experience would just be, man, like, it's okay to not know what your purpose is, but just be trying to move towards something or move towards what you feel like you know you want to do.
Right.
Because ultimately, sometimes we just don't know, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? You're not less than because you don't necessarily know. Just, you know, take your time and figure it out. And through the process, you'll have people like me and KP, you know what I'm saying, continue to talk about this so you don't feel like you're alone. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely true, bro. And I think, again, like I said, I appreciate you. I know we was in the spaces that one time, and everything you're doing with Circle of M, again, like again, bro, we definitely are helping people. Again, it's not even just a, you know, for football, you know, conversation. It's a universal conversation, you know. So I think, again, like, we're gonna help people with these conversations and dialogue, bro. So again, I appreciate you.
Man, so, well, there you guys have it. KP on the Circle of M show, and we are out.